Welcome to the KZGN News. Today we'll bring you a special tribute to Pearl Harbor Day and a report from the NRA on gun violence, weather, sports, and much more.
From the Rademacher Hills to Bee Mountain and the mighty Sierras, Ridgecrest to Inyokern and China Lake, this is your news for the Indian Wells Valley with the KZGN News crew.
Hello, I'm Tom Whitnick. Thanks for joining us for the news affecting Ridgecrest and the Indian Wells Valley. Well, today is Pearl Harbor Day. Today's news will be a remembrance of that day that will live on in infamy. And in light of the shootings in San Bernardino and the attacks against the NRA concerning gun control, we'll have a report direct from the NRA. First, we open with a video tribute remembering the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, December 1st, 1941, the attack that brought the United States into World War II.
We interrupt this broadcast and bring you this important bulletin from the United Press. Flash, Washington. The White House announces Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin. The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii by air, President Roosevelt has just announced. The attack also was made on all naval and military activities on the principal island of Oahu.
We at KZGN-TV salute all those that fought and died in World War II. Thank you for your service. Now a report on the attack on the NRA for blocking new gun control laws. As many of you know, I own guns for us here in Ridgecrest. Since the shooting in San Bernardino last week, I have seen an uptick in business by people that want to be able to defend themselves in case of an attack here. Our newest group of gun purchasers are women of all ages buying their first gun for defense. And I add they are also signing up for gun training as well. These will be responsible gun owners. I also have received calls from viewers about my thoughts on the shooting and the gun control issue. I had one nice lady call me named Valerie. She wanted to know more about the guns that were used in the shootings in San Bernardino. She also wanted to know why people needed these assault weapons. I took the time to explain that these media-declared assault weapons, and really nothing more than the same as other guns that just look different, they are not machine guns the military uses, they just look like the guns the military uses. She, as well as millions of other anti-gunners, are victims of the anti-gun movement that has no clue as to what they are talking about when they use the term assault weapon. And I let her know that the NRA is not against responsible gun ownership and does not want criminals to get their hands on guns. So instead of us throwing inaccurate charges against the NRA for opposing gun control, the liberal media seems to accuse them of all the time, I thought it would be good to get the NRA position direct from the NRA. What follows is the official NRA position on how to stop gun violence. This is NRA Executive Officer Wayne LaPierre. I doubt you'll ever see this on MSN or CNN or the mainstream media.
Nothing illustrates America's breakdown like the way the president's hometown celebrates its holidays. Memorial Day, 12 dead, 56 wounded. The 4th of July, 10 dead, 53 wounded. Labor Day, 9 dead, 46 wounded. This kind of third world carnage has become absolutely normal. If the president held a press conference every time multiple people were murdered by criminal gangbangers with illegal guns in Chicago, we'd hear from him almost every day. Instead, he says nothing. And the untold secret in Washington is that he has all the laws he needs to stop the bloodshed now. Under the existing federal gun laws, he could take every felon with a gun, drug dealer with a gun, and criminal gangbanger with a gun off the streets tomorrow and lock them up for 5 years or more. But he won't do it. His Justice Department won't do it. And the media never ask why. So convicted gangbangers carry illegal guns because they fear rival gangs more than they fear being prosecuted for a gun charge. Every police officer on the streets in cities like Chicago, Baltimore, and Detroit knows what it's like to get called to a murder scene, knowing full well who did it, because the killer was in the back of their car yesterday or last week. Thugs like Darius Brown, who was supposed to be serving a 10-year sentence for second-degree felony robbery, but got let off with 5 years probation. So he was free to roam the streets and kill a 9-year-old girl while she was doing her homework. If you want to stop violent crime, and I know you do, take violent criminals off the street. Prosecute them under the current federal gun laws and make sure they don't get to their next crime scene. That's the way to save lives. If the president held a press conference tomorrow morning and directed every federal jurisdiction to round up every felon with a gun, drug dealer with a gun, and criminal gangbanger with a gun, law enforcement would have thousands of violent thugs in handcuffs and squad cars by sundown. Instead, he waits for a crime that fits his agenda and blames the NRA. Mr. President, we will not accept blame for your failure. The NRA has demanded the strongest possible prosecution of the federal gun laws for over 20 years. Our repeated calls have been met by deafening silence from the Washington elites. President Obama and Hillary Clinton and other politicians use the carnage to campaign for more gun laws they won't and don't enforce. And the good, honest Americans living out in farm towns in Nebraska or Oklahoma, or working 2 jobs in inner city Chicago or Baltimore, people who keep their heads down, raise their kids, and just try to do the right thing, they see through it all. We've lived through the Clinton administration's utter lack of federal gun prosecutions, and the Obama administration is following suit while the country suffers. And we know that a second Clinton administration will just mean more of the same. Americans have no tolerance for violent thugs, no tolerance for the politicians who enable them, and no tolerance for a media that devotes endless time to new gun laws but won't even ask why we don't enforce the existing federal gun laws we already have. No organization has been louder, clearer, or more consistent on the urgent need to enforce the federal gun laws than the NRA. And in the face of mounting political and media pressure to demean, shame, and silence us, we will fight. If you have had enough of the dishonest debate, if you're sick and tired of politicians blaming you and your guns for their failure, demand truth and justice. Stand and fight with the NRA.
So there you have it, the official NRA position on stopping crime in America. Finally, the statement I got from the NRA states that they are ready and willing to work with Congress on meaningful gun control issues. But when anti-gun politicians worry more about drafting laws in a vacuum, and they often have no clue as to the impacts and consequences of the law, it will probably be challenged by the NRA. The NRA is willing to work with Congress. Now stay tuned for weather and sports after the break. Thanks for staying with us. Let's go to Lane for the weather.
Thank you, Tom. From the National Weather Service, a series of storms will impact the Pacific Northwest over the next several days, bringing heavy mountain snowfall and a prolonged rain event across the region. Flash flooding is possible for areas where the heaviest rainfall is possible. In addition, strong winds with gusts up to 75 miles per hour are expected along beaches and headlands. Temperatures across the nation: Carolinas at 52, Georgia at 65, Arkansas at 61, northern Texas at 60, Arizona at 74, and LA at 70. And for us locally, tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 37, west-southwest wind 5 miles per hour. Tuesday, mostly sunny with a high near 68, south-southwest wind 5 miles per hour. Tuesday night, partly cloudy with a low around 38, east-northeast wind 5 miles per hour. Wednesday, mostly sunny with a high near 71, west-northwest wind 5 miles per hour. Wednesday night, partly cloudy with a low around 41, west-northwest wind 5 miles per hour. And Thursday, a 30% chance of rain, partly sunny with a high near 68, west-southwest wind 10 to 20 miles per hour with gusts as high as 30. And that is your forecast for the IWV. Now back to Tom.
Thanks, Lane. And now here's Tom Heck with sports.
A very pleasant early Monday evening to everyone. Let's start with college football. Over the weekend, Alabama beat Florida. They are going to get one of the number 4 spots to get into the playoffs. That'll start on New Year's Eve. Clemson beats North Carolina, so they are the number 1 team in all the land right now. Michigan State beats Iowa State. Michigan State right now will be the other team of the 4. And then lastly, Oklahoma, who did not play, will be the other team. So we've got, again, Alabama, Clemson, Michigan State, and Oklahoma. Those 4 teams are your playoff teams. They will play in the Orange Bowl and also the Cotton Bowl on New Year's Eve. Should be very interesting to find out what happens in those games. It'll be Michigan State against a very good Alabama team. It'll be Oklahoma against an even better, I think, Clemson team. Clemson right now playing extremely well. All right, let's take a look at the NFL. A couple shockers. The Eagles beat the Patriots 35-28. The Jets beat the Giants in overtime. Boy, the Giants have lost an awful lot of close games this year. 4 of them to be exact. 3 overtime losses now for them. Seattle comes in and beats up Minnesota up in the Northland. I tell you what, Seattle playing for their lives right now. They are motivated, and don't count Pete Carroll and his crew out right now. Tampa Bay easily over Cleveland. Lovie Smith doing a great job. Tomorrow we'll look at the standings a little bit more. Now, Golden State basketball, NBA, 22 in a row. The all-time record, 27, held by the Lakers. 22 in a row, one of the best starts ever for an NBA season. And then the Detroit Pistons beat up the Lakers up in Detroit 102-81. That game was played Sunday afternoon in Detroit. The Lakers tonight are playing Toronto. Lakers trying to pick up win number 4. They're currently now 3 wins and 16 losses. All right, this past weekend, the junior high basketball tournament, great success up at Saracoso. The Murray 7th grade team played very well. The Murray 8th grade team hung in there and did pretty well. Monroe, their boys, 7th grade boys, win the tournament. They beat Jacobson. The Monroe 8th grade team loses in the championship game against Jacobson. And in the C division, congratulations to St. Anne's. Their boys team beat Charter in overtime. Next weekend will be the girls' turn, girls junior high basketball. That'll be Thursday night and all day Saturday. Not Friday night, but Thursday night and all day Saturday due to the dances going on in the junior high levels. All right, baseball. Former Dodger manager Don Mattingly has taken former Dodger third baseman and player Tim Wallach with him to be a bench coach. And guess what? Barry Bonds back in baseball. He will now be the new hitting coach of the Miami Marlins. So very interesting. You know, Don Mattingly is going to make that team a lot better, I can tell you right now. That's your sports for this Monday early evening. I'm Tom Heck for KZGN.
So that's the news for today. All of the KZGN-TV know you have a choice in what you watch for your news. We all thank you for choosing KZGN-TV, Ridgecrest's only locally owned community TV station. Now stay tuned for Ridgecrest Talk coming up next.